All right, Committee on Parole is reconvening. We're at Lincoln Detention Center on Wednesday, December 13th, 2023. And is there any staff there in the room with you, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'd like to get the staff to introduce themselves, please.
Yes, ma'am. This is Captain Williams.
All right, Captain, thanks for accommodating us today.
Thank you.
Mr. Griffin, is that you?
Yes, ma'am.
You introduce yourself, tell us your name and DOC number, please, sir.
Kelvin Griffin, 441257.
I'm saying yes, sir, that's it. And do you have a parole revocation questionnaire? I don't see one. Can you put it up on the screen?
No, ma'am.
Okay, look, we're gonna put it up on the screen. Is that, you recognize that form?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that your signature at the bottom of that page dated November 8th of this year?
Yes.
Okay, so we're here for a revocation decision this morning, Mr. Griffin. I'm gonna read the allegations against you and then you'll enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. Then we'll have a discussion about your plea.
All right.
You're accused of violating the conditions of your parole, specifically condition number 2, which says, I will submit a monthly report by the 5th of every month until I complete my supervisions. I will also report to my parole officer when ordered to do so. You stated that you did violate these conditions of your parole by absconding supervision. How do you plead to violating number 2?
Guilty.
Then we have condition number 4, which states you are arrested on April 25th, 2023 for domestic abuse battery. On September 6th, 2023, you were convicted of domestic abuse battery, first offense, and you were sentenced to 6 months in the parish jail. So how do you plead to violating condition number 4?
Not guilty.
Then we have condition number 8, which states, I will submit myself to available medical, mental health, or substance abuse exams, treatment, or both when ordered to do so by parole office. Also, I'll submit to drug and alcohol screens at my own expense. You stated you're guilty of this condition because you absconded from supervision. How do you plead to violating condition number 8?
Guilty.
Condition number 9 says, I agree to visits at my residence or place of employment by my parole officer at any time. I also agree to searches of my person, property, residence, and or vehicle when reasonable suspicion exists that I am or have been engaged in criminal activity. You stated you're guilty of this condition because you absconded from supervision. How do you plead to violating condition number 9?
Guilty.
We have condition number 10, finally. It says, I will pay supervision fees in an amount set by the Louisiana Department of Corrections. Payments are due on the first day of each month. You stated you're guilty of this condition because you absconded supervision, did not pay on your financial obligations. How do you plead to violating condition number 10?
Guilty.
Okay. Mr. Griffin, your case has been assigned to Mrs. Jackson. Would you answer her questions?
Good morning, Mr. Griffin. When I read your file, my first question is, why are we here? Why are we having a hearing in light of the fact that you admitted to most of the violations? You pled not guilty to Rule 4, but you actually went to trial and you were found guilty. You were paroled in January of 22. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
I think it was January 9th of 22.
Is that
Paperwork said. So
Well,
how long did you serve on that 17-year sentence?
no, that ain't me though.
You're right. I'm sorry. Let me find. Awesome. Sorry. When did you get paroled?
What, November last year?
November of 22?
Yes, ma'am.
And when did you get arrested on or put a parole hold placed on you?
April, I think it was like April the 20th, something, April the 27th.
Of 23. So really, you're only out about 6 months. What happened? Why didn't you report? Why didn't you do the things you needed to do to stay out of jail?
I just had to change the address.
No, it's more than that. I mean, you absconded, which means you didn't show up and report to them. They didn't know where you were. And if you had a change of address, it was your responsibility to notify them, right?
I know.
Why didn't you do that?
I ain't had no reason to miss it.
And then obviously you didn't submit to treatment. So why didn't you go into treatment?
I ain't supposed to go into treatment.
No, I'm just saying that's Rule 8. And you pled guilty to that.
I was never supposed to go to treatment. I just was out on parole.
How do you know if you never went in to talk to them?
I went to Monroe. I reported to Monroe. I just didn't report to Ruston. I ain't have an address, a valuable address.
How many times did you report to parole?
One. That one first time when you get out.
Exactly. And then you dropped off the radar. What are you on parole for?
Distribution.
Right, and your full term date is in 2030, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You're not helping me try to help you, Mr. Griffin. You're not giving me any reasonable explanation for why you didn't make an effort to do what you needed to do to stay out of prison.
I admit to the violations. I just didn't have a valuable address.
Well, when you paroled, you had to provide an address when you paroled.
Yes, but when I got out, by the time I had got out, it was changed the address. So I never did just
Well,
go back.
whose address did you give?
My mother, she has a new one now. I got the new one.
But again, where did you lay your head the first night you got out of jail?
At the address, the new one.
Why didn't you notify probation and parole? My mom moved and this is where I'm living.
I was just going through something out there. I was just moving too fast.
Going through what? Everybody goes through some stuff.
Well, we had really went on good terms like that,
So your mama put you out?
basically.
Why?
Because I guess it was too much dealing with this. I guess I've been through it too many times.
Well, obviously you weren't doing what you felt like you should be doing, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You're probably causing a disruption in her household. You know, it takes a lot for a mama to put you out. Right?
Yes.
Did you ever work during that period of time?
Yes.
Doing what?
At the House of Wafer.
At the what?
House of Wafer chicken plant.
Okay, and when did you start working there?
Like in December?
And how long did you work there?
I worked up there like 3-4 months.
And why did you stop working there?
Transportation.
How were you getting there before?
I was catching a ride with a friend.
Okay. Did you ever report to your parole officer that you were working?
No, ma'am, when he came out here, but not when I was out.
Or you just kind of, it sounds like you just kind of blew off this whole parole thing. You didn't make
But
any.
I kind of knew it was gonna come to this.
Well, so you knew when you got out of jail that you were gonna fail on parole? Is that what you
No, no, I ain't playing that. I just knew when I had missed the first 2 months, it was kind of gonna be hard to, ain't no available address.
Well, but you know, there are a lot of people who are homeless or who are between places. And your parole officer is a resource. They can sometimes help you find a place to live. They can help you, but you've got to do something to help yourself. Like reporting to them, letting them know, I don't live there anymore. I don't have a place to live. They wouldn't arrest you for that.
Yeah, but I probably still came back on the technical.
Okay, well, that's all I have.
You don't have a real positive outlook, do you?
Yes, ma'am. I got an address. I got things kind of figured out now a little better.
Who you gonna let, who, with who? When you're working at the chicken place, who are you living with?
My friend,
The guy that was giving you a ride?
no, me and my girlfriend had a place.
So you got out of jail, you got a job. Did your mom kick you out because you were using drugs again or dealing drugs again?
Nah,
No. Okay. Anything you want to say to us?
no, ma'am.
Right. You didn't give us much to work with today. I think we're prepared to vote, Mrs. Jackson.
All right, Mr. Griffin, I don't know what to do with you other than to revoke you. You're either pled guilty or were found guilty of all of the violations. You didn't make any effort whatsoever to try to comply with the conditions of your parole. You just didn't give us anything to work with today. So the only option I have is to vote to revoke you. And to return you to prison.
Mr. Rushing.
Mr. Griffin, I find you guilty of violating all conditions of your supervision that you were charged with. Therefore, I'm revoking your supervision.
Mr. Griffin, you didn't give us a lot to work with today. I do agree with my colleagues. My vote today is to revoke you parole. Good luck to you, sir. Start thinking about your transition.
All right.
You'll have another opportunity to come back, but you need to get some things in order, get it in place so that whenever you get out again, and you will, you'll be successful. Good luck to you, sir. Mrs. Lincoln, so we're going to sign off at 8:44. Thanks so much for accommodating us.
Thank you.